So from the moment that Carlos Correa last offseason signed his 3-year, $105 million deal with the Minnesota Twins, with an opt-out after year one and an opt-out after year two, I think we all knew as baseball fans that this was an actually a one-year deal
Yeah.
for Carlos Correa and the Minnesota Twins, and it
And
has
now it's
become
official.
official. That's right. Carlos Correa has opted out of his deal with the Minnesota Twins and will be a free agent come the offseason.
Well, Twins fans, hope you enjoyed the ride. We do have the quote here from Carlos Correa that I'll just get to. So he says, with the year that I've had, my health, and being at the best moment of my career at 28, this is the right decision. So it is a no-brainer for him to opt out at this point. Added earlier this month, I love this team. I love this organization. But at the same time, I want to make sure my son and family are taken care of. Hopefully the Twins can see the player that I am, the person that I am, and we can get into some serious conversations. Now, do you think the Twins are going to be serious players in this Carlos Correa long-term mega deal?
I don't think they will be for a few reasons. Number one, I think that Carlos Correa is now ready for a mega deal. I think that's what he's going to be going. I think one of the reasons he took the 3-year deal with opt outs last season was that he changed agencies. Some of you might remember this. He went from his past agency to the Boris Corporation. There was a little bit of infighting between the agencies as to how the money would be split up, and that is why I think he was kind of guided into a shorter term deal. It would benefit Boris, and it also benefits Correa. Last year's shortstop class was definitely one of the strongest Major League Baseball has ever seen, and not that there aren't some really good shortstops available in free agency this year. Dansby Swanson and Trey Turner both also free agents who are set to make some big time money. But Carlos Correa, I mean, he really could wind up with one of those 10-year mega deals. I'm not sure who is going to go out there and spend the money
Still
on him.
just 28.
He is only 28. He was
Arguably
making
the best shortstop in the game. I'm not saying he is, but there's certainly an argument to be made that he's the best, if not one of the top 3, top 5 shortstops in the game.
Listen, Correa had an incredible season this year. He hit 291. He had an on-base percentage of 366, a slug of 467, 22 dingers, 24 doubles. His average on-base percentage was his best since 2017. He played 136 games, and he's an injury-prone dude, so that's the most games that he has played since 2017 as well. His 140 weighted runs created plus, which means that he's 40% better than the average shortstop, is the highest among all qualified MLB shortstops. He is definitely a superstar. There's a reason why the Twins wound up paying him on average the third highest salary in a year out of any position players. Only Anthony Rendon and Mike Trout made more money last season than Carlos Correa. And there are teams, the Blue Jays included, who could use possibly a surefire dude at shortstop. Really curious, everyone watching this right now, where you think Carlos Correa will land.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. I'm interested to see too. Where do you think he's going? I feel like almost every team has to be interested, even if you already have a shortstop. Unless you're the Texas Rangers and you already have 2 shortstops that you signed last year with Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. But otherwise, the Blue Jays, he's our new shortstop. Bo moves to second. Immediately, we have the best second baseman and shortstop in the AL East. Yankees, maybe not if they're spending all their money on Aaron Judge.
You beat me to it.
Okay.
I was just going to say that there could be some really interesting players in the Carlos Correa market, because some of the biggest spending teams, the Dodgers, the Yankees, are going to be in negotiations with some of their current players trying to lock it up, right? Aaron Judge, we mentioned Trey Turner also going to be a free agent. So will the Dodgers reevaluate which direction they'd like to go with shortstop and move on from Trey and maybe try and get into the Carlos Correa sweepstakes? That's very possible. Dansby Swanson might be the best offensive and defensive shortstop in the league outside of Carlos Correa. The Atlanta Braves obviously definitely need a shortstop.
Baltimore
I mean,
Orioles, I think, are going to be in heavy on this Carlos Correa sweepstake.
Players,
This
I
is
think.
a super young team who made a real push for the playoffs with a young, very affordable core. Their GM, Mike Elias, was the GM or was involved in the management with the Astros when they drafted Carlos Correa. I said last offseason that I thought maybe they'd make a play for him. They didn't. But this year, Baltimore Orioles, I think, could make a big offer for Carlos Correa.
One of the reasons for that, too, the Orioles have a lot of money to spend, and they have in the past shown they are willing to spend some big-time money. So it is interesting to see that they're one of the lowest payrolls in all of baseball for the first time in years since 2016, are an above 500 team, and all of their young players made some serious progress this 2022 season. Carlos Correa's landing spot. Man, my interest is piqued.
I'm so curious. So let us know in the comments whether you think your team should be going after Carlos Correa, where you think he'll end up. And I guess, yeah, Dansby Swanson is another great name to throw out there. Would you rather your team target Carlos Correa or maybe go for a Dansby Swanson instead? Let us know.
Or even a Trey Turner. One last little caveat before we wrap up this video. Again, get your comments into the comment section there on where you think Carlos Correa is going. But Correa's defense, for the first time since his inception as a shortstop, took a step back. His outs above average was a -3 this year, which is the lowest mark since 2017. And Correa's 48 outs above average from 2018 to 2021 is fourth amongst all shortstops. So he is known as a really good defensive shortstop. Of course, sometimes those metrics are a little weird depending on who you're playing the infield with, right? I mean, we watched Matt Chapman struggle with his metrics as a Blue Jay, but we all know that the eye test goes a long way with both Carlos Correa and Matt Chapman, both exceptional infielders.
Carlos Correa, Gold Glove, Platinum Glove last year.
Exactly. So anyways, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Really appreciate the interaction that everyone participates with. So feel free to drop your comments or reach out to us on Twitter at Walk Off Podcast, Instagram, the Walk Off Podcast. All the best, everybody. Cheers.